It's absolutely apptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNR Network websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Honey, come on. We gotta get the show up. We got a new day, new everything. It's Masochistic March starting. Let's go.
Masochistic March.
Yes, Masochistic March.
Doing a whole month about movies that are terrible rip-off attempts of one of the best movies ever. A whole month about Star Wars knockoffs. Whose bright idea was this, anyway?
Yours, actually.
Oh, fudge.
We kick off our Star Wars rip-offs Masochistic March this week with Star Crash. Plus, we have our thoughts about possible Oscar winners and a couple of other things on what will probably be a shorter show than usual because we're planning on doing stuff later this month. And all that's happening right here, right now. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Welcome to Masochistic March.
Yay. Here on Subject Cinema.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
This town needs an enema.
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Blasting out of Beantown, USA, you're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 599.
Yeah. Wow.
Day and date, March 3rd, 2018. And amazingly, our 600 show is next week. We'll talk more about it in a few minutes. It was supposed to be here like 5 weeks ago, but we've missed so many things the last 2 months because we've both been so sick. It's crazy.
Yeah.
She was sick again last weekend. We're sorry for missing that. As a result of that, next week on the 600 show, we're going to finish up the other festivals for the Festival of Film Festivals. Mm-hmm. Palm Springs, Santa Barbara, Victoria, Big Sky, South by Southwest, and Berlin.
Yep.
All next week with our 2 or 3 picks from each one of them, and getting ready to do our Boston Springs the Festival, which will be coming up in May, and it's a bitch because 5 of the festivals are running the same weekend.
Yeah.
They haven't done this in about 5-6 years.
It
used to be 2 or 3 of them, but this year 5 of them are running the same weekend. We'll be on the ground for one of them in Salem, and of course we'll have a lot more on all the other ones. But it'll be fun. How was your week? I spent 2 days of my week this week training for our new computer system at work.
Yeah.
Which was it was an informative class, but I have bad legs, and the seating they had over there got to me by the end of the day. Every day I was in agony from my knees and my hamstring area. So
yeah,
the classes were fun, though.
All right, I guess. I mean, other than yesterday.
Oh yes, we are in the midst of Winter Storm Riley.
Yes. In case you guys didn't know this, the Weather Channel, for reasons that make no sense to me, on the last couple of years, whenever we have like a large blizzard or whatever. The first time
even tiny storms.
Yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is obviously a mess for certain parts of Massachusetts.
What they call a bombogenesis storm.
Yeah. Thank goodness it's not, snow for most of us.
I actually will have some
rain and
footage up
wind.
of some flooding at work yesterday.
Yeah, rain and wind, which was pretty frightening, and we know there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with floods in their basements.
Half
and
of our
stuff
town
like
is still without power.
And to those people, we hope everything gets fixed up real soon.
A good chunk of Riviera is without power right now.
Yeah. But
we're
the
lucky.
first time, we're very lucky. We haven't lost anything. We're very lucky.
Even though we had at least 60-mile-an-hour winds overnight, so.
The first time I can remember this becoming a thing was Superstorm Sandy. I mean, this might have been going on before that. You're the weather nerd.
Well, Sandy was a tropical storm, and so it was named properly. It was part of the season, but that winter, they just kept rolling with it and introduced Winter Storm Albert and whatever it was. And the National Weather Service came down hard on the Weather Channel, and they said, would you please stop naming every storm that comes along? And the Weather Channel did the equivalent of, na, 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 make us.
Yeah.
So now we have Winter Storm Riley out there.
Yep.
It's been pretty scary. I mean, Quincy,
it has been
Situate.
Frightening,
we saw, actually on the news, we saw a wave so big it went over a 2-story house.
Yeah, that was
on the
unnerving.
coast at Marshfield.
It was unnerving for us
Terrifying.
Because where we work in Quincy, the parking lot is very close to.
It's close to a tidal pool from the Neponset River.
Yeah,
and the Neponset River connects to Boston Harbor, and so. We got the bad effects of high tide. Over half the parking lot was flooded. A good deal of the street in front of the building was flooded under about 2 to 3 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
The sign was almost up to its bottom in water.
Yeah.
So it was pretty scary, but it came and went in 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
so
but the water came and went and left its damage behind. But the wind was still going pretty dang strong when we left, as well as the rain.
It was
and
nuts.
There we are standing outside, waiting for the bus to show up. And by the time,
a 2-minute wait though.
I know, but by the time we made it home from the multiple train rides, taxi rides, everything else, I think everything up to and including my eyelashes was waterlogged. And it looked like
don't be so melodramatic, Kim.
And it looked like my hair had been styled by an egg beater. It was a mess.
I will admit, if you've ever seen
everything.
if you've seen that viral video out there that's all over the place of the news reporter getting smacked by the stop sign that came loose in the wind, and I don't know when that happened, a year ago or so. Some people say it's faked. That's how bad it was blowing outside yesterday.
Yeah, it was crazy because
insane.
Neither of us are small people.
No, and I could barely.
We both almost got
for your
blown
cane,
over.
you would have been blown over.
Yeah, I had to actually take the cane that I used to walk with because I have knee problems and kind of grind it into the earth a little bit so I could stay standing.
And the bus
upright.
driver, she was like, I'm going to stop for these people too.
Yeah.
Get on the bus.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the train was out because of a tree across the tracks that were down by past Wollaston, which is closed anyway. So they had to start running one train back and forth between on the one side of the red line.
Yeah. I have to say
we lucked out. We caught the trains just right. So if we'd been later, we would have been 2 hours.
We tend to bitch and moan about the MBTA up here in Massachusetts because that's what you do.
It's because they're the MTA. They wouldn't let Charlie off, so of course we're going to bitch about them.
But I have to say, they actually did a good job yesterday.
They did. They were very... Although, as usual, we call it T-speak. When they get on their loudspeakers to make an announcement, it usually comes out... like Christopher Plummer doing Vane from... Dark Knight Returns.
It was Tom Hardy, and stop that.
Sounded like Christopher Plummer.
It's like think of the worst drive-through experience you've ever had when you try and go to like a Burger King or whatever, and it sounds like the person's talking to you from the bottom of a well. Picture that and multiply it by 100, and you've got T-speak. But we made it home, and we're dry, and
what?
we're
You got what?
T-speak.
Oh, okay.
What did you think I
said
said?
TC. I'm like, what do you mean?
No, I said T-speak.
I can't help it. I'm sitting over here laughing because you bring that up all I think of as fast food.
I know.
Stevens and Gribnick.
No, I said T-speak. No, you speak very eloquently, honey. But moving forward, we're over here now.
What? I speak like an elephant. What?
You know, they do say hearing is one of the first things to go. And somebody has a birthday coming up later on in the month.
I need the Lee Majors bionic ear.
I think you need the Lee Majors bionic everything.
At this point, yeah. I could use a bionic knee or two.
You're the one that said you want to get a Davros chair and all that
No, I
stuff.
said I don't want to get one. I'm going to need one before too long.
Promise me you won't look like somebody got sick in a bucket.
Exterminate.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
So here we are at March again, and yes, it is Masochistic March, and yes, this is all my fault.
So we've done, in the past years, the first year we did it, which was 4 years ago, we did really bad movies.
Yes.
Then we did really bad disaster movies. Then we
Yes.
did really bad kung fu movies.
Yes.
And we did really bad musicals.
Yes.
This year was originally going to be the Matt Helm movies, but Kim actually came up with a better idea.
Well, Kim came up with an
Bad
idea.
Star Wars ripoffs, because we're right in the middle of new Star Wars nouveau revival, with all these new Star Wars films coming out, and
It's
Solo
really
just
more
a
of
few weeks away from its release.
I wouldn't call it nouveau Star Wars. It's actually not
The way
really.
Harrison Ford's been bashing on everybody, yeah, I think it is nouveau Star Wars.
Well, Harrison Ford's becoming a poster child for grumpy old men.
Well, he's wearing that on his sleeve, and very proudly too.
But
Him and John Boyega have been going back and forth on Twitter the last couple of weeks.
considering the fact that most of the Star Wars movies are actually going back in the Star Wars, mythos, looking at stuff that happened already.
No, those are the offshoots. The current Star Wars films are going forward.
Okay, well that's true. That's true.
I mean, they have to. They've killed off Han. Now they've killed off Luke. They're gonna have to kill off Leia because Carrie Fisher's not with us anymore. So the original trio is gone.
Do you want to have to pull me out of the bathroom again when I go
sorry,
to the
honey.
for an
It's
hour?
true. It's true. You got to deal with it. Now, I mean,
I
there
did deal
is
with it.
room for Luke to come back as a Force spirit.
I did deal with it. I went in the bathroom and cried for an hour.
Anyway, we're going to be doing Star Wars
That's me
ripoffs for
dealing with it.
Masochistic March, and we hope that you'll like it. In the weeks ahead, we're going to be doing we're going to close out the month with the man who
saved the world,
which
AKA
is known in the Turkish Star Wars.
Turkish Star Wars.
Plus, we're going to cover some of the other really ridiculous
Yes,
ripoffs.
we're going to at Message from Space.
And we'll give them away later. We'll talk about which ones we're going to do later. But anyway, we're going to kick it off with one we've already talked about when Mystery Science Theater 3000 came back. And, oh my God, I am not going to sit through this yet again. From 1978, we're going to kick things off with Star Crash.
Our galaxy is split into two warring factions, our own and the one ruled by the evil Count Zarthan from the League of the Dark Worlds. The Count has created a weapon so vast, so huge, that it would take a whole planet to conceal it.
If you guys listen to Catastrophe Vortex, I spoke a few weeks ago about Marjoe Gortner's acting in Earthquake, and I know I need to show up. Well, Marjoe has been around for a while, and we'll talk a little bit about him as we get through this, but he is the nominal face in this film because he's the only person anybody would have recognized unless they wanted to recognize him through the cameo by Christopher Plummer. But technically the stars of the film are Carolyn Munro, Judd Hamilton, Robert Tessier, and, God help us all, the Hoff, David Hasselhoff, in his first film role. From 1978, the infamous Star Wars ripoff called Star Crash!
Yep.
In other words, the early adventures of Star-Lord. Anyway.
No! Do you mind?
No, not at all. I can't stand that character. Anyway, and now, with a rundown of the film, here is my lovely co-host, Kim. You owe me for this.
I know. Hey, I watched it on my own when I was a lot younger.
You saw it at the theater, did
no,
you not?
Didn't. No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, I saw it one afternoon down my grandma's.
You poor thing.
Channel 6 afternoon movie.
You had the hots for David Hasselhoff at the
I
time.
I did.
He's only in 20 minutes in the movie.
I know. Oh, I found that out. Oh, I was less than pleased. Anyway.
Most of it is Marjoe Gortner doing his impression of Prince of Space. Your weapons are useless against me. And similar things like that.
Catherine Moreau and her breasts.
Carolyn
Moreau and her breasts.
Anyway. On with the show.
The plot,
such as it is,
of Star Crash is that it takes place in a distant galaxy.
But not far, far away, apparently.
Not far,
or long, long ago.
Not far, far away enough. We have a starship which is looking for the enemy of the galaxy, the peaceful empire of the galaxy, because in this film, the empire of the good guys...
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, they had to reverse it, otherwise it would have been too close to Star Wars.
I guess.
So it would have been the Jedi Strike Back.
The enemy of the galaxy, the evil Count Zarth Arn. You know, it's really, really bad when you announce the name of the villain and your audience does that. The ship is, when it gets close to a planet, the ship is besieged by some sort of weapon which looks like these red balls of light that somehow drive the crew completely insane and kills everybody except for the people that get away on some escape pods. And the ship crashes, and the whole thing that happens there.
Go ahead. Can you do the line from Star Wars?
What?
The escape pod line? Can you know those?
What do you mean?
When 3PO
what is it? I'm going to regret this.
And boy, did we ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Considering the fact that the film actually opens with a shot of the underside of a Star Cruiser, I'm like, gosh, what could this be a ripoff of?
I know.
Let's dream. We didn't actually get the whole... We didn't get the slanted lines going up on the screen, thankfully, because that would have just been too damn much.
That would have brought it into the realm of the Apple. Anyway, as the most painful movie ever on Masochistic March. Anyway.
I think I just threw up in my mouth
a
little bit.
But you like apples.
Can we move on,
All right,
please?
Anyway, go ahead.
This is not an appealing subject.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway.
You're just mad because you think it's the pits. Get to the core of the story, will you?
All right, I think we've squeezed out every Apple pun we can, okay? Sheesh. Anyway, we are introduced to the heroes of the piece, quote, quote, smugglers Stella Star and her sidekick, co-pilot, I don't know, they're not romantically involved from what I can tell, a guy named Acton, who are fleeing from the Imperial Space Police, who are searching for them because, as I mentioned, they're roguish smugglers. Gee.
Do they do karate?
What?
Do they do karate?
What does that got to do with
Well, because
anything?
we need something to liven up this movie. I figured Against the Ninja would work great here.
No.
Okay, fine.
And stop
just reliving past memories of great Masochistic March
and
movies.
And stop talking. Did you just use the word great in connection with Miami Connection?
Great Masochistic March movies,
I will throw this mouse at your head.
I said great Masochistic March movies.
No, I'm just saying.
Kim, you're tearing me apart! Anyway, you had that coming. Go.
So, they get caught by the police and by the head of the police force, which are a robot named L.
He's a robot sheriff.
He's a robot sheriff who talks with a southern accent.
Mm-hmm. And the police chief, whose name is Thor.
Yep.
Or more rightly, it should be pronounced Thor. But, they don't pronounce it right in anything, so.
So, yeah, and unfortunately, he does not look like Chris Hemsworth, because we can't have nice things.
He doesn't even look like Eric Allen Kramer.
No. Again, see, we can't have nice things. Stella and...
If you remember that reference, you're old. Anyway, Go ahead.
Stella and Acton are sent to 2 separate prison planets to work off their sentences because, as I mentioned, they're smugglers. They are released and given a chance to fight for their freedom because they are
recruited.
Yeah, it's pretty much by the Emperor of the Galaxy, played by Christopher Plummer, who wants them to go find this one ship that we saw earlier in the film because they're still trying to seek out this evil Count Zarth Arn who has this weapon of immense power hidden away on a planet. Are you going to do that every time I say his name?
Count Zarth Arn.
Oh, man, we're going to be here all damn night.
Hey, well, at least Christopher Plummer got to step up as he went on.
What do you mean?
Well, this was a pretty bad science fiction movie, and 10 years later, he was playing General Chang in Undiscovered Country, or 15 years later, which is one of his best roles.
True.
So, there we go. Okay,
yes.
Anyway.
And the thing is, we don't actually see him in this part. He's not there in the flesh. He's delivering this holographic message. A holographic message from a member of royalty pleading for help.
Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
Well, Kim goes off and runs her head into the wall. TC will be talking about musical Walma highlights and sure. No, anyway. And if you get that joke, you're old.
Thank you, Fred Flicks. We'll talk about that later. Anyway.
So off on this mission, Stella and Acton and Thor and Elle go. Because it turns out that the reason that they're being offered this mission and they'll be offered clemency and their records will be wiped and blah, 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 is because one of the hopefully survivors from the ship that we saw at the beginning of the film is the Emperor's only child, his son, gasp. So they're off to try and rescue a space prince.
Played by David Hasselhoff. I'd rather leave him where he was. Anyway.
Moving on. They find the first escape pod on this one planet. Stella and Elle take a shuttle from their spaceship to the planet's surface. Why are you laughing now?
Sorry. It's okay. I'm just thinking of it's just me.
Okay.
I gotta do something while you're doing this.
All right.
My job is to interject humor.
I mean, I will admit it's very difficult to take a robot seriously who sounds like Yosemite Sam. But it's really
very close. Yeah. It's not like the cool robots over the years, like the one that Alan Tudyk voiced in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Or 3PO.
Anthony Daniels, or even, I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
Yeah.
It's like...
I'd rather deal with Danger, Will Robinson. Danger! Which is coming up next month on Netflix anyway.
That was actually pretty good. I didn't even try on that one. Oh. Sorry, don't mean to pat myself on the back. I just like imitating stuff, just to freak him out sometimes.
She was very good.
Watch this. Come play with us, Danny.
Oh, stop. Ew. I'm going to start singing it Against the Ninja if you don't stop doing that.
Okay, anyway, moving back to the...
Or I'm going to stop and start doing the entire segment as Tommy Wiseau.
Oh.
That shut her up fast. Okay, anyway.
If you're going to start getting threatening, I'm just going to leave. Anyway, so the planet they're on, they find the crashed ship, one of the escape pods, but there's no survivors. They wind up being attacked by a bunch of Amazons, which Elle immediately identifies that they're Amazons. No, not those Amazons. Obviously not those Amazons, because those were pretty ones.
Oh, well, yeah, true.
This is apparently the low rent district.
No Linda
Amazons.
Carter or Gal Gadot among them, so it's okay.
No, this was the low rent district Amazons. They look like a bunch of hookers. Anyway,
they're not Trisha Yearwood. What are you talking about? Private joke. Anyway, go ahead.
I would like to apologize to Miss Yearwood because one of us decided to be a jerk right then. Anyway.
I'll explain. If you guys write to me at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com, I'll explain the Trisha Yearwood reference to you. And why I do it. It's her fault. Anyway.
Elle is shot and presumably destroyed. Hooray! Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We're supposed to like him. But Stella is brought before the Queen of the Amazons, Queen Corellia, who, as it turns out, is in league with the bad guy, Zarth Arn, which makes absolutely no sense because you wouldn't think an Amazon would be in league with a man. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of being an Amazon, isn't it?
But as you pointed out, these are different Amazons.
Yeah, the not pretty ones.
Damn, that's so harsh. Funny, but harsh.
As it turns out, Elle is not destroyed. Damn it. And winds up getting Stella rescued, and we have a big fight outside, but, well, it's not really a fight. We have Stella and Elle being pursued by the giant guardian of the Amazons, this big metallic Amazonian robot.
I think it's supposed to be their representative of, Colossus of Rhodes or something.
I think it's supposed to be their version of Talos from Jason and the Argonauts.
I'm not familiar with that, so I don't know. Is that what it is?
I might be.
I know the story, but I've never seen any film or anything of it, so.
Well, that whole stuff was done by Ray Harryhausen.
Right,
in the
that's
Jason
true.
movie. But,
yeah, you're actually probably right about that.
But, because you can tell it's supposed to be an Amazon, because it's got boobs.
Yeah, true.
Because, of course, a giant robot needs breasts. Because I don't know why. Anyway, moving on.
Because Playtex.
That made my brain cramp. Anyway,
why?
So they wind up being rescued. They get rescued by Acton and Thor, and off they go onto the next planet, which turns out to be a planet covered with ice and snow, kind of like.
It's nice.
Or Hoth.
It's nice.
Would you?
All right, now I'm getting silly and I'm getting dirty looks. All right, go ahead.
Exactly how much sugar have you had today?
Just a can of Coke, actually, is all. So, or a bottle of Coke, so.
The problem is, while Stella and Elle are looking around on the planet's surface, where they find another pod with no survivors in it, as they're getting back to the ship, it turns out that Thor, who has attacked Acton, reveals that he's actually a traitor, gasp, and is working for Count Zarth Arn, and has been promised...
Sorry.
And has promised that if he works for the Count and betrays Stella and all of the good guys, he will become his Prince of Darkness. I'm sorry, the last time I looked, wasn't that...
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Sorry, well, the first off, I'm like,
actually, that should have been, I find your rip-off of plot disturbing.
Well, my whole thing is the fact that if he's a count and he's going to make you a prince, doesn't that mean you outrank him?
Yes, I would think so.
That and isn't the Prince of Darkness another way to say the devil?
Satan?
Yeah, or Ozzy Osbourne. Or Rick Berman. Anyway.
No, that's the Antichrist.
I thought that was Jude Law. Anyway.
No.
If you get where that came from, never mind. As it turns out, though, Acton isn't unconscious or dead, and uses these mystical powers that he all of a sudden turns out to have, and saves himself from getting blasted into oblivion. But during all of this, the actual night falls on the planet, and it's too cold, but Elle is able to save Stella by using some of his energy, and they freeze over in the snow. They're brought back to the ship by Acton, and they wind up bringing Stella back to life, and everything's fine because because there's no brain damage or anything if you're on sub 1,000,000 degrees. Okay, whatever. Anyway, they land on another planet looking for the other escape pod, and they wind up being attacked by the same red globy things that we saw at the beginning of the film.
Now, did we explain how Elle came back because it was destroyed?
Because he's a robot.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you were watching.
Yeah, because he's a robot.
It can be put back together. Anyway, go on.
But they actually managed to make it through the red globy things of death, and they land on the planet, and they are attacked by a bunch of cavemen. Yeah. Space movie with cavemen. And
there was a lot of those in the 50s.
Yeah, I know. And the L gets destroyed again, and Stella is a... Tactless, yet rude. Stella is kidnapped by the cavemen who are going to do something with her. We're not entirely...
Do something with her? Oh, the horrors!
Well, we see her being hung upside down, and I'm like, are they trying to cure her? I mean, is she going to be like space bacon or something? What
yes.
are they doing? You know, I'm like, you know, if you're
She'd
going to...
make a heck of a rack of prosciutto.
You stop talking about her rack. You're making me jealous. But
you don't need to be jealous.
Yes, I do.
No,
she was a
you do not.
lady.
Anyway.
The cavemen are scared away by a figure in a golden mask who turns out to be the Emperor's son, Simon! Ta-da! Played by David Hasselhoff, who looks really gorgeous, to be perfectly honest with you, and is the entire reason...
And he enters the room going, and you know, my name is Simon, and my dreams really do come true.
And if you get that reference, guess
You're
what?
Really old.
You're really old. And as I mentioned, David Hasselhoff looked really hot, and this is the sole reason
Get me out of this bad movie right now!
You wish. This is the sole reason I watched it. Even back then, I had needs. Don't judge me. They are attacked once again by...
I don't need to judge you. You are punished enough for your needs.
They're attacked once again by the cavemen who... And this time they get... the cavemen get chased off for the most part by Acton, who shows up with a laser sword. Honest to blog, I am not kidding. As it turns out, because apparently he's had this thing all this time and decided never to use it until now, and picks this exact moment to whip it out. Ahem.
Bad choice of words.
Yeah.
Even if it was deliberate. Anyway.
Deliberate? Me? Use a deliberate sexual entendre? Me?
Oh, listen, crickets.
Damn.
Anyway.
It turns out they're actually on the weapon. The weapon they've been searching for this whole time. The weapon is actually the planet itself. They find a laboratory, and the three of them are captured by the evil Count's guards. The Count actually shows up at this point and says, three victims. No, it's not that. Sorry. Had a little flashback there because, good God, this movie is terrible. It turns out the Count's plan is to use them as bait because he knows the Emperor is on his way to the planet to try and, rescue his son, and that he's going to have the weapon that he's created self-destruct, blowing the planet up and blowing the Emperor up, and, oh, by the way, blowing all of them up, too. The Count leaves ordering the two robot guards that he has, which are called golems for some reason in this movie, and I don't have any idea why, because they're not golems. And they have to, he orders them to keep the three people under guard. Acton whips out that weapon of his again, the laser sword, lightsaber knockoff, and starts a sword fight with the robots that is just, oh, so exciting. But he winds up being mortally wounded, and after a very tearful speech where he says he will stay behind, he wants Stella and Simon to live on, he fades away and dies, apparently.
Obi-Wan.
I don't know, whatever. Thankfully, did not say some line along the lines of, if you cut me down, I will be stronger than you ever imagined, because George Lucas would have sued the hell out of these people, and he should have anyway. The Emperor actually does show up, and it's not a hologram this time. Holy crap, it's the real Christopher Plummer, and that just breaks my heart. the Emperor apparently has this power, or the ship that he has, his flagship. Now check this one out. Oh my God. Has the power to stop time.
Yeah.
Also called the Deus Ex Machina machine. No, it's not. I'm just being sarcastic for all you drama nerds out there. He has the power to stop time for 3 whole minutes. Boy, men can get a lot done in 3 minutes, can't they?
Will you stop? Family show. Anyway.
Sorry. I have to do something. This movie is horrible. So stopping time for 3 minutes somehow means that they can still move around, which makes no sense, because if time stopped, never mind. Screw it. They get to the ship, the Emperor's flagship, and the planet goes boom, and everything's over. Hooray! No, it isn't. Stella, who is now on the Emperor's flagship with the Emperor and Simon, watch as a huge fight goes on between the armada of the Emperor, who is the good guy in this, don't forget, and the ships of the evil Count. The Emperor's soldiers manage to make it onto the space station by literally crashing through the window. And everybody gets sucked out in the vacuum of space. Actually, no, they don't. Because that would
have been too good of an ending.
Because that would have actually made some effing sense. The attack doesn't work, surprisingly, and the Count is going to destroy the Emperor's home planet, and the Emperor decides he's going to ram a space station, which is called the floating city that has somehow been evacuated in the space of 4 minutes, into the Count's space station, which will destroy both of them, obviously. Elle has been salvaged again and rebuilt, and Elle and Stella make the decision to fly the city and smash it into the Count's ship. They fly it in, they smash it up, and they manage to escape, and the floating city crashes into the Count's space station, destroying the evil Count, and everything's wonderful.
Boom!
Stella and Elle manage to make it back to the ship by being picked up by Simon, and Simon and Stella have somehow fallen in love, because that's the way it works in these films.
Well, they were making googly eyes from the very first second they laid eyes on her. I'm sure the first thing out of his mouth was, Stella!
How long have you been waiting to do that, Joe?
The whole damn segment. Anyway.
I have a feeling. And we get a very short speech, thankfully, from the Emperor to close out the film as our heroes embrace and everything is wonderful and rainbows and kittens and unicorns and somebody please shoot me.
Caroline Munro as Stella Starr, Marjo Gortner as Acton, Judd Hamilton as Elle, David Hasselhoff as Prince Simon, Christopher Plummer as the Emperor, Joe Spinell as Count Zarth-Arn, Robert Tessier as Thor, and Nadia Cassini as Coriella or Corelia, the Queen of the Amazon women. Oh my God! Now this is an Italian piece of dreck, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is one of the worst films ever. And it's not helped by the fact that the two leads, neither one can act worth a damn. Caroline Munro has done all kinds of roles over the years. Mm-hmm. I don't know what she's best known for. Probably this film. Mm-hmm. And Marjo Gortner is a fascinating person. He's a funny man. Started off as a child evangelist, got into acting when he got into his teens, music also when he was in his teens, and attempted a serious acting career, but was never. He did some good parts and something. I mean, here he was fine. He was going through the motions basically because he knew this was a piece of crap. Mm-hmm. But
well, interesting fact. They did. This was dubbed for the most part, and certain people did dub their own voices. Caroline Munro was not one of them. Mm-hmm. In fact, her voice was dubbed by the woman who was at the time married to Marjo Gortner.
Oh, okay.
We actually do know the gentleman that played Count Zarth Arn from a film we did at last year's Masochistic March. The Count was played by Joe Spinell, who played one of the hillbilly brothers in the film.
Oh, dear God, that's right. Oh, I knew that name.
The film Little Dragons or
Karate Kids USA.
Yeah. Which, if I never... I would rather be flogged by a horsewhip than see that movie again.
I really liked that movie when I was younger, and now I look at it and I'm like, good God, why?
The director, a gentleman named Luigi Cozzi, in an interview that he had done with Variety, had described this film as science fantasy instead of using the usual term of science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
You can dress it up however you want to, sir. This film is a steaming pile of elephant dung.
Don't mince words, hon. What do you really think?
All right, a steaming pile of bantha dung.
The director has done a lot of different things that have been seen, I'm sure, by people. Most of them rip-off type films over the years. Although he did work with both Dario Argentino and Lamberto Bava, who is, I believe, the nephew of Mario.
He's also claimed that the design of the film and the script were in development prior to the release of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. He also did something called Monster Shark. Is that the one that came across as Devilfish here in America?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. I'm terrified. I'm going to look real quick.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know
Devilfish, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell these people were thinking. And they can say all they want to that this film was not an attempt to rip off Star Wars.
It was an attempt to rip off Star Wars.
Mm. Yeah.
This is what would happen if Star Wars was directed by Tommy Wiseau.
Oh. Mm.
I mean, you'd have Greg playing...
Please, stop. Stop. For the love of God, stop! Do not continue this line of discussion any further, please.
Oh, you're going to take all the fun out of it.
I mean, granted, there were some interesting things to look at in this film, like Caroline Munro, who was I will not say she's not a beautiful woman. She's a very beautiful woman. I think it's kind of interesting. You have the whole gender-flipped idea of the sassy smuggler being a woman instead of a man and rescuing a prince instead of a princess. But you didn't see Han Solo running around wearing assless chaps. So could you explain to me why, why Stella has to run around wearing next to nothing? We can see she's a beautiful woman. Do you have to objectify her that much that for most of the film she's wearing a frickin',
Okay, this is what I found interesting. This film was originally shot for the king of the schlock studios, American International Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
When they saw it, they declined to release it.
Mm-hmm.
And New World Pictures, owned by the always inimitable Roger Corman, put it in theaters.
Yeah. You are in...
Seriously?
You are in deep, deep Bacta if AIP won't run your stuff.
If AIP refused you got a problem.
You have a problem.
The scary thing is, John Barry wrote the score. John Barry is a well-known, well-respected film composer. Won an Oscar for Out of Africa, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, oh my Lord, are you serious?
Mm.
How did he get stuck with this piece of crap?
How did Christopher Plummer wind up in this thing?
How does Cameron Mitchell end up in all those low-budget things?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great actor, and he's in a ton of crap.
Yeah.
If you've never seen this, the original film under the original title, Star Crash, is available for rent on Amazon, and it is available for rent on a couple of other services. If you want to see it for free and you're a Netflix subscriber, Star Crash appeared on the initial return season of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
With the new guinea pig in the Satellite of Love, Jonah, with the same old bots with new voices. Tom Crow and Gypsy. And new Mads in Kinga and Max. And Joel's in there somewhere.
Usually inside of a like nuclear suit of some sort.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can see it for free if you have Netflix, and it's definitely worth checking out.
And they savage it as well they should.
Next week, Japanese classic, Message from Space. I don't know whether we'd actually want to call it a classic or not. But it's certainly classic, masochistic March movie, if I've ever seen one.
You bet.
As we continue Star Wars ripoff months on Masochistic March. Don't miss it.
May the Force be with us.
Oh, we're going to need it. The best movies! Subject Cinema! PNR Network shows depend on our listeners. It's you that makes us who we are. Help us bring you all the best we can. Become a Patreon patron. Donations start at just $2 a month, and the more patrons we can get, the more we'll be able to offer. You can get great perks, plus exclusive blogs and podcasts available only for being a patron as well. It's absolutely fantastic. So please, become a Patreon patron today. We need you. Patreon.com/PNRNetworks.
Your every man's film school. This is Subject Cinema.
Since we came to pass last time, we missed last week, the Winter Olympics have concluded. Mm-hmm. We brought up a few things earlier. Red Gerard's win on the first show. Red won the snowboarding slopestyle for the... No, was it slopestyle? Yes, slopestyle for the Americans, which was really kind of cool. He did not, however, medal in the big air competition. There was David Wise was repeated in the ski half pipe again this year. One of my favorite athletes, Torren Wallace, was in 4th or 5th place. He didn't quite make the grade. Sebastian Toutant, affectionately known to X Games fans as Seb Toots, won the ski slopestyle, which I love. And there was a great, I can't remember his name and I can't find it here as I'm looking through it. The slopestyle ski, the half-pipe skiers, the bronze medal winner was an irrepressibly funny 15-year-old or 16-year-old from New Zealand, and he was a freaking riot. I don't remember, I didn't know him at all, and he was like really fun. We want to say congratulations to all of the athletes who won medals and competed. America, wow, we actually made another Simpsons prediction come true.
Yeah, we did. America
beat Sweden and became a gold medal winner in curling. God help us all. And they Homer and Marge beat Sweden in the Olympics 4 years ago for the gold medal. So it's like, wow, I can't believe how many things this show seems to have.
I know.
I mean, 24 years ago they predicted Donald Trump as president. You don't think that would ever come to pass?
I know. It's very weird.
The games were fun to watch, and all of the skating was crazy. And I, of course, go in for the extreme sports, although I don't really care for... I've never understood the purpose of ski moguls. That's those bumps that they have to do. Yeah. I'm like, those have got to hurt your back and ankles and legs,
looking at
everything.
That makes my knees ache. It's just,
They were fun to watch this year. The opening ceremony was great, and as I said, we're definitely keeping an eye on the extreme sports. But the curling win was a big upset, and the U.S. ladies hockey team winning gold was an upset too. And that was nice to see. They dethroned Canada. Canada's won the last 2 Olympics. Mm-hmm. And Canadian ladies were not happy.
No, considering that they did get a lot of, they were, told off because one of the women on the Canadian team
immediately took her silver medal off the minute it was put around her neck. She just picked it up and took it off and hit it.
Yeah,
she's embarrassed to be a silver medalist. I'm like, dude, it's an Olympic medal.
Yeah, it's really kind of.
I mean, Adam Rippon was in there for gold, but he won bronze, and he was one of the funniest people I've ever seen. Although I have got to ask this question: what possessed NBC to put Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir, their goofy couple from the Olympics of the last 8 years, together for the figure skating coverage this year? Johnny Weir is one of the craziest people I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they're much better when they're out of their element. Now, granted, they're both figure skaters. Lipinski is a medalist, and Weir is not, but he was there. But Weir is funny. I mean, the one day he sat there in his outfit and he had a little hat that only went on top of his man bun. It didn't cover his head. It was a hat for his man bun. I'm like, what the hell? I like Tara and Johnny when they're at the Kentucky Derby. They're a riot because they don't really know horse racing. So they're always funny. But on the figure skating, it was just kind of because they're so intently watching because they're both skaters.
Yep.
They weren't nearly as funny as they could have been.
I would like to say congrats to all the medal winners because you guys achieved your dreams of making it to the Olympics, which is awesome.
Yep.
I want to bring up real quick the Olympic figure skating team event that was won.
Oh, of course she does.
Yes, I do. We got to stick up for each other.
Yes, but you got your own show coming back this week, so bring that up on.
Well, yes, I do, but I'm bringing it up here.
All right, fair enough.
The American figure skating team, which won the bronze medal in the team event skate.
That's where Adams came from. He didn't medal in the individuals.
One of the people I want to bring up on that team, all of them, congratulations and good job.
Get around to it.
I want to bring up Brady Tennell, who is a member of the team, and a very
Didn't she used to sing? Wasn't she a singer at one point?
That's Tennell.
Oh, it's spelled almost the same way,
Almost the same way. Stop talking.
Where's the captain?
Stop it! Brady is...
That's mean anyway, because they're divorced now. And
yeah. Brady, who has made it very public the fact that she is an enormous fan of Supernatural. To the point where a lot of us out there in the internet would like to see her get a guest spot on the show, preferably not one where she gets killed within the first 5 minutes of the show, or gets to kiss Jared Padalecki, because then I get annoyed. But congratulations to them, and Brady, welcome to the tribe.
The Olympics were down in the ratings this week and this year.
Really?
They were equal on par with 4 years ago. There hasn't been a huge influx of ratings since Vancouver. Oh yeah, Shaun White come back. Yes. And won gold on the snowboarding pipe. Yeehaw.
Honey.
I'm sorry, I love Shaun, but he needs to move on to the next thing he needs to do. It sounds terrible because I've been a big fan of his. But his attitude the last couple of years has just pissed me off. I might turn me right off. I'm like, okay. But he did it. He was a spectacular performance from him. So I shouldn't be giving him crap. But anyway, it'll be fun to watch the Olympics in 4 years. They will be coming from Beijing in 2022. No, Tokyo in 2022, isn't it? Or is it Beijing I forget which. I hate it when they do them on off years. The Tokyo Olympics are the Summer Olympics, aren't they, in 2020?
Yes.
Beijing is hosting the next Winter Games in 2022. And I'm like, this should be fun. Beijing hosted the Summer Games. Now they're going to host the Winter Games. I smell Sochi all over again.
I thought it was just really nice that this Winter Games, the thing I liked about this year's Winter Games was the fact that they were actually, snowboarding on snow.
Yeah, not
slush.
Yeah.
I
feel bad
nice.
I feel bad that Sage Kotzenberg decided not to come back and defend his snowboarding gold medal in slopestyle. Sage actually has dropped out. He's not competing anymore. He's sticking strictly with video parts and backcountry stuff, and more power to him. I mean, he's one of the best out there, and it's a shame that he's not going to be competing anymore, but he still shows up. I mean, they still had him, even though he wasn't competing, they did have him commentating on some of the X Games stuff a couple months ago, so it was fun. Anyway, the Olympics are done, and they were a lot of fun. The opening and closing ceremonies were fun, and everything else. And we should also mention, although I completely forgot about it because of the Olympics, this is the first year I've missed it in forever. A Bichon Frise won the 2018 Westminster Dog Show.
Yep.
Of course, one of my favorite breeds, and I freaking missed it! I was so pissed. I'm like, oh, I forgot it's always Valentine's Day week. And I'm like, I totally forgot.
I think part of the reason you forgot is because they don't run it on USA anymore.
Yeah, it's on CNBC, I think, now. And because Vince McMahon had to have his 3-hour Raw every week. So much for that. And my voice for doing that, because now I'm going to cough for an hour. Okay. Listen, don't try to imitate Vinnie Mac. Okay. Anyway, congratulations to the Best in Show winner, one of my favorite breeds. And I think that's it for sports. And that's all for sports on Subject Cinema.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
Want to know what's happening for the weekend? Then check out Subject Cinema's 3-Minute Weekend, spotlighting all the new films hitting your local theaters. Join host T.C. Kirkham as he gives you the 411 on all the new blockbuster releases, as well as the indies that might be coming to your town, and choices for video on demand as well. 3-Minute Weekend, every Friday morning from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a member of the Lamb Podcasting Network, a PNRNetworks podcast.
We've got the films of the present and future. This is Subject Cinema.
If you're listening to this day and date, March 3rd, 2018, it might be out of date by the time you listen to it if you're after that, but we still got to talk about it. Oscars are coming up on March 4th. That's tomorrow. And we were going to try and live snark the Oscars. We couldn't figure out a way to do it, so hopefully we'll do it next year, and we are planning to try and come up with something to live snark Eurovision in May, so that'll be fun. But anyway, the Oscars are coming up this weekend, and we'll have our Oscar special will be on Tuesday this year because we're trying to fit it in around all the other shows we do. And it'll cover the winners on the Oscars, the Academy Awards, of course, and then the Spirit Awards, which were already held and we know the winners from, and the Razzies. And that'll be on sometime in early Tuesday evening. But there's been some controversy going on around the Oscars because everybody seems to be backbiting everybody else, particularly in the Best Picture category. Now, the big frontrunners since the Guild Awards, the SAG Awards and the Writers Guild and so on and so forth, the frontrunners have been The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro's science fiction love story fantasy, which is now apparently being accused of plagiarism, and Martin McDonagh's off-the-wall comedy and my best picture of 2017, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is getting slammed because of Sam Rockwell's character, who is an extreme racist cop. Of course, a lot of the people online and a lot of people out there, the film critics, have been championing 2 other films all year. Get Out, Jordan Peele's breakthrough as a writer-director, a commentary on the society of America, as it were. I have got to be honest, I have not seen it, but I know several people who have, and none of them liked it. They all hated it. And the other film is Call Me By Your Name, a gay love story between a 17-year-old and a 22-year-old man in Italy in the 1980s, starring Armie Hammer, Timothée Chalamet. These are the 4 big frontrunners. Lady Bird is on the outside, and there are 3 or 4 other films that are up that aren't even really being in the mix for buzz. What do you think? The controversies happening, are they going to undermine the win? 3 Billboards won Best Picture 2 weeks ago at the BAFTAs, the BFIs, and it also won Best Ensemble Cast at the SAG Awards. So that's usually an indicative that the film could win Best Picture.
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of this year's Oscar stuff seems to be getting really nasty. You know why I think that is? I think it's because nobody can tell what's going to win. And it's making people crazy. I don't really know. I mean, I know the films that I like, and I know they never get nominated for anything. I don't know. I mean, I think that, unfortunately, certain people take the attitude, well, if you don't vote for this, you're this. You know, And I personally don't appreciate that. I think that's emotional blackmail. I think that, and that's, emotional extortion, or however you want to word it. But that's just my opinion for what it's worth, and I vote for what reaches out and makes
We vote. You vote? Ha! We don't vote for the Academy. The Academy's not going to get podcasters memberships.
No, I'm saying when people ask me my opinions of movies and stuff like that, I tell them what worked for me on my own level. I don't vote. I don't pick movies that I like because of a specific agenda or anything like that.
Right.
Because that's just who I am.
Let's just go over these real quick, the major categories, just to talk about them quickly. Nominated for Best Animated Film, The Boss Baby, The Breadwinner, Coco, Ferdinand, and Loving Vincent. You can see most of these. Coco just came out on DVD this week. Loving Vincent is on demand. Breadwinner and The Boss Baby both on Netflix, and Ferdinand is still in theaters. I loved Coco, and I didn't see Loving Vincent, which I really wanted to see, and I want to see The Breadwinner, but I haven't seen it yet either. And it's any opinion? A lot of people were surprised The Boss Baby got nominated because it did so poorly with critics.
Yeah, I actually was surprised about that one too. I'm considering the fact that it didn't do well with the critics. It did marginally well.
It did number 1 2 weeks in a row for the theater, so public liked it.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actress, the nominees: Mary J. Blige for Mudbound, Allison Janney for I, Tonya, Leslie Manville for Phantom Thread, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water. These are Allison Janney's won a lot of the awards out there, and she's a terrific actress anyway. So I think it's probably safe to say, if anybody can beat Allison, it's Laurie Metcalf from Lady Bird, which was one of the most critically acclaimed films of the year. Supporting Actor, nominees: Willem Dafoe from The Florida Project, Woody Harrelson, and Sam Rockwell, both from 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Richard Jenkins from The Shape of Water, and Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World. This category is completely upside down. Nobody expected Woody Harrelson. Nobody expected Christopher Plummer. There were other names. Armie Hammer got cheated out of a nomination here. I'm partial to Sam Rockwell anyway, because I love the guy, almost everything I've ever seen him in. But Woody Harrelson was great too, and both of them were terrific in 3 Billboards.
Yeah, they were. I've never seen Woody Harrelson give a better performance than his performance in 3 Billboards. I really and truly.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I like Woody in practically everything I ever see him in.
No, I think he's always a really good actor, and he really varies in the parts that he plays. Everything from something like Natural Born Killers, to a film like this, to 2012, to, and everything kind of in between. He's always really does a really good
awesome
performance.
In 2012, he plays an Alex Jones-like character. He's really funny in that.
But his performance in this film just rocked me, completely rocked me.
Best Actress nominees: Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, and Meryl Streep from The Post. The odds-on favorite is Frances McDormand, but Margot Robbie has been winning a few critics awards, and so it's Saoirse Ronan. I think Sally Hawkins has an outside chance. I think Meryl Streep is completely out of the picture this year for a win. I do, because The Post wasn't a terribly big hit either. So I don't know, but my gut says Frances there. What about you?
I want her to win, simply because her performance in 3 Billboards was, I couldn't take my eyes off her.
She was awesome.
I mean, it's just, there's something about her character, and I said this when we did the review for it. Her character, the way her character acts, you'd almost want to be like, oh, well, she's just being this way because she's been driven out of her mind with grief. Until you see flashbacks in the film, and you're like, well, no.
She's always been that way.
Yeah, she's always been that way.
She's terrific.
There's one scene that I feel like, just for one scene in that film alone, she deserves to win an Oscar.
The deer scene?
Yes.
Yeah. Best Actor nominees: Timothée Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, a character named Reynolds Woodcock, possibly the funniest name ever. Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, and Denzel Washington stepping in to steal James Franco's nomination for Roman J. Israel Esquire. My gut says this is going to go to Gary Oldman, but there is a huge buzz for Timothée Chalamet. Mm-hmm. Chalamet is the youngest actor in almost 50 years to be nominated for a Best Actor Oscar. He's 23, and he's said to be terrific in that film. Mm-hmm. We still haven't seen it, so I don't know.
I know.
It didn't get. It only played here for a couple of weeks. It's just out on. It's not out to rent yet, so we can't see it. Daniel Day-Lewis says this is his final film. I don't know. And Daniel Kaluuya getting raves for Get Out, and now course on screen on Black Panther. Mm-hmm. We'll see. So the full list of nominees for Best Picture. All 9 of them. Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. The only film that I really haven't heard anything bad about or slammed on here is Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
It's, although just the other day Jennifer Lawrence said she turned it off after 3 minutes and she was sorry for anybody that liked it because she couldn't stand it. So.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of weird because so many people said that about Mother. So
yeah, I know. Ouch. The Post
so I guess
is
everything kind of balances out in the circle of life.
I got to be honest. The Post is kind of a non-player unless it's completely political. A win. 3 Billboards, Lady Bird, Get Out, Darkest Hour, Call Me By Your Name are the 5 likely potential picks, and I'm going with my gut and saying it's going to go to an upset, probably to Dunkirk, which would be something since Christopher Nolan finally landed a director nomination for that movie.
Yeah.
I would like to see 3 Billboards win. We'll see. The Oscars are on Sunday night as we talk, and of course, if it's already been on, you already know the winners, and you'll know how well we did. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how the little buzz around Hollywood is affecting the actual event.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema with TC and Kim.
Before we head on out of here this week, we want to tell you about a new website we found. We're going to be it's not a new website, it's a new channel on YouTube it's not really a new channel, it's just new to us. Mm-hmm. If you're into nostalgia, Fredflix is the place for you. Fredflix. He is real. He puts together the kind of videos I'd like to be able to do.
Yeah.
For our site and for my music site. And I can't figure out how to do it without getting buzzed on YouTube's content thing. If you guys know how to do this, make these countdowns with clips and stuff, and without getting buzzed, email me, subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com, because I'd really like to do musical countdown clips for the Kirkham Report, and I'm terrified to try it, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, Fredflix has got a lot of TV, movie, toys, everything. And some of them are short, some of them are 3 hours long, trailers and stuff. And all from, where'd you say he was from? North Carolina?
I think he said North Carolina.
He's been around about a year, and he's got tons of fans already, and they're worth seeing. And I'm actually going to try and see if we can work out something with him.
Hopefully.
For a couple of things.
He really does. He does great work His little asides are really funny. He's very clever.
When he does those.
Yeah, when he does them.
Doesn't do them on everything.
And it's really fun watching some of these because some of them I remember and some of them were before my time.
And our time, yeah.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we just watched a half hour of K-Tel commercials for all the crazy K-Tel albums that came out in the 70s and 80s. And we're like, I have that. What the hell is that? Who is that? What the hell? You know, so they're fun, and we hope you'll check them out. And go to YouTube and search Fredflix, Fredflix. Now, we are now on Saturdays. For those of you who didn't notice, we changed dates, and we're not going to be this late in the evening, hopefully.
No.
In future weeks, but it's going to be on Saturday every week from now on. Next week on Subject Cinema, as Masochistic Star Wars Ripoffs Month continues, we will be doing the Japanese film Message from Space.
Yep.
And we hope that you will join us for that. We'll be up next Saturday afternoon. And we also hope you'll join us for Subject Cinema's mini shows during the week. 3-Minute Weekend on Friday has all the latest film releases in the U.S., while Tuesday Digidex on Tuesday has all the latest home video releases. And they're also available right on the same channels at eCinemaOne.com. Monday is supposed to be Catastrophe Vortex. I've been slacking this last few weeks because of all the training we've been doing and everything. It will be back this coming Monday, and I hope you'll tune in at CatastropheVortex.com. It's going to be a little bit different show. I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite episodes of air disasters. I hope you will be there for me in the evening, Monday evening. Check it out.
Yep.
Your show is back this week.
Yes, it is.
And your second show hasn't went away, although it was off for a week.
Yeah. My supernatural podcast, Platinum Rose's Garden, is back this week. I will be talking about this past week's episode, Good Intentions. So I hope you will come check that out over on PlatinumRosesGarden.com.
That's tomorrow or Sundays.
On
Sundays every week.
And if you are of a wrestling frame of mind, you can check out my show, Ring Around the Rosie. I would like to bring up, and that is at ringaroundtherosie.net. This week I'm looking at the last week's WWE pay-per-view Elimination Chamber and last week's Raw and SmackDown. I would like to bring up that Platinum Rose's Garden and Ring Around the Rosie are both
not safe for work.
Thank you, because I swear a lot. Yay, First Amendment. So I hope you'll check those shows out and like, share, and subscribe if you would be so kind.
Yeah, but don't forget our Subject Cinema spinoff, Front Row 5 and 10, every Thursday usually. This week we skipped again because we were going kind of time crazy. Next week we'll be back with our top 10 most pretentious films. Should be fun. It'll be back Thursday evening.
Yep.
And don't forget Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon. Movies, games, odd things to eat, and a lot more. They just did a whole Cavebabble Eats Odd Things show a few weeks ago. Now they've got a Black Panther show up. I challenged Eric to some new odd things that we found to eat when we were seeing something on TV on President's Day, which is frightening. And that's at Cavebabble.com. And Comic Grotto with Aunt B and Pee Wee also did a Black Panther special and are doing great stuff on comics and movies and comics and the movies and TV. And that's over at ComicGrotto.com. Don't forget our very special dramatic presentation, Manhattan Hammerdown As It Happened. If you have not heard it, please go over to ManhattanHammerdown.com, take a listen, and tell us what you think by writing to us at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. Manhattan Hammerdown is our 10th anniversary tribute to the wonderful found footage film Cloverfield. I think it's wonderful. Kim doesn't like it that well. She likes it better than
I like it better than I did the first time I saw it.
But I think you're going to love it. It's actually longer than the film, and we actually had a great deal of fun doing it. It involves all of our shows, both of us, plus the kids. Do my David Letterman impression. Plus the kids over at Cavebabble and Comic Grotto, and we had a lot of fun.
We did,
and and we hope that you'll read it, pass the word around, and always like, share, subscribe, posts, shows, and more at everything you read at eCinemaBoston, eCinemaOne. eCinemaBoston will be back this week. And all of our other sites, please share them and spread the word. And finally, friends, please take the time to become a Patreon patron. We are, we've been trying for over a year now to really get things going with Patreon, and it's not been an easy thing to do, but we could really use your help because we desperately need some new equipment that we can't afford without your help. We've got some other plans we'd like to do that, again, we can't afford without your help, and we hope that you will take the time. Just $2 a month, or you can do higher, and you get some great perks with it, and it covers all of our shows, not just Subject Cinema, but we spread the wealth throughout the entire PNR Networks family. Mm-hmm. So please join us on Patreon and become a patron at PNRNetworks at patreon.com/PNR Networks. Speaking of Patreon, the bunnies are back.
Yay!
Jennifer Scheinman and 30-second Bunny Theater is back, and she's taking donations at Patreon, and we hope that you will become a Patreon patron of hers also, like we are. Couldn't believe it. We didn't know she was back, and it's so great. She's producing great new bunny movie parodies as she did a few years ago, and she's always got a great wit about her when she's designing these little films, all featuring bunnies doing the classic dialogue from the movies.
Yep.
So please check it out. There'll be a link in the show notes. And go over and Patreon her, too. She's awesome.
Yes.
On that note, we are going to head out of here. For Subject Cinema, I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be better.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
More masochistic marches on the way.
Gird your loins, folks.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNR Networks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.